Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to bed. Let's play. So we're almost done, I think, and this will be the last episode regardless because that's pretty much all I needed to record. I think we did 12? So let's just jump back into 12 and finish it, and when we hit 15 we're kind of done. I haven't really been hiding my feelings on this game. This doesn't look right. Let's go back a little bit further. We're getting a lot more in the second half as far as harbor hazards goes. I think maybe we did 7, so we have a little bit more. Let's go ahead and skip this intro and see. Yes, this is the one we last did, so we can just solve this again. Like, I've been pretty cruel and pretty blatant on just armchair game development thoughts, where I'm saying like this would have been a better experience in my opinion had I can I make this in time, I wonder? This will be interesting. Had every step been planned out and you could play in like a pause mode, instead of having Bob move so slowly by default, you could have Bob walk twice as fast in a normal mode, but you start off in like a half speed mode or a single step mode where it's just pause, one frame, one tile moving. I also think in the idea that I feel like I talked about in the last recording, that this dog creature should be able to bark and scare the enemies a little bit. The whale trains, for instance, probably you couldn't bark at them, so it would be helpful at that point if the trains only came at certain times, and that it would give you the feeling that there was an ability to actually walk over the train tracks. That would probably help somewhat. Let's see. So the question on this puzzle becomes, is this character is Bob going to be capable of going through some circles here, or is this all going to fail miserably? Let's see, I left the apple over there. So the idea that anybody would solve a puzzle like this in the first place is odd. It's also very odd we've missed the whale trains. They're not on this level, and we're back to the lips. And let's see, how are the lips gonna go? Just gonna have them fall off the edge. So I think I have to come over here and put that there. So this is like a really awkward going around in circles experience. I'm hoping that this is right. We can zoom in a little bit. We can zoom in a lot actually. But no real combination of the lips with the other puzzle with the whale trains. I said the enemies should be... Yeah, we're not zoomed in. We're zoomed in too much at this point. The enemies in the first game should be a giant clock. In this one, it should be probably an arena with a lot more platforms and whale trains around the edges of the platform, fighting probably not a giant whale train, but maybe throughout the course of a 3-phase boss fight, you would derail the giant whale trains into either the giant octopus, which these giant octopus tentacles don't play any role in the game at all. They're just there for show. And see, there's a weirdness here, because you can't ever get down to this platform, and you should be able to get down to that platform. Like, you really should be able to get up here. Whether it's falling off the edge this way or jumping down the edge this way. We need him to... now the trick here that you get introduced to is you can do this. And then that's fixed. Which is a cool idea. Unfortunately, there's probably less than 8 levels left, so this idea doesn't get used. So I'd have like more of these floor holes in the arena thing. I'd have 4 of these around the edge. I'd have Bob stepping on some switches that you have to maneuver him on. So he walks, he falls, but he falls in a gap in between like the 2 walls. Which doesn't help. And you can't double up. You can't put the apple on the fish, which would make it really helpful. So we've got to somehow get him to go back downward. So take something like this, and you look at it from a distance, pick it up, put it down, send him back down. You get him here, he goes that way, and that doesn't really solve anything because he can't do anything anyways. So really it just kind of comes down to this. And I suppose it's just kind of up to your own feelings how much of solving these puzzles are done by trial by error or by learned gameplay mechanics. There's a game called The Missing that is pretty brand new. Well, it's called The Missing and JJ Macfield or something. It's an extremely long Japanese idea of a name, and there we go. So that's how that's gonna work. And so then the question would be, will this work to actually get him to slide all the way where he needs to slide? Or would this have worked if I hadn't put the fish there? The reason why I wanted to mention The Missing, here's a dog creature that, like, totally you should be able to interact and bark or bite. And he is exactly the same as the clock character. So why not use the clock character again? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And why do I still have control of this, of my character? Why is that programmed so badly? So while the game The Missing is more of a horrific game, I guess there is a slight difference here between the dog and Uh, and the clock and the fact that the dog does not run off the edges. Oops, did not mean to exit. That's not a big change. It's fine, but it's not big. I guess we're on 10. I want to just burn through all these levels. Like even if I don't finish all these levels, this is it. So you put this down, and then we can do that. But then that doesn't work either. Like, all this really manages to do is buy me some time so that I can then try and send this character a little bit further and maybe get an out of sequence break here. So, but the odds are pretty low. Yeah. The dog moves too fast and the character moves too slow. Bob moves too slow. So I've got to get the dog to go somewhere he doesn't want to go. He's always going to go in these circles. I can turn him the other way, put that there. But just look how fast you have to move. And this is just like so the wrong gameplay mechanic. It could be the right gameplay mechanic if it was polished, but there's no polish here. It's visually polished, certainly. There you go. Get the dog to walk that direction. And see, the slightest button press when it should be super easy to hit A and continue. The slightest nudge of the left stick moves it back to going to the main menu. I'm not just being silly here. This is a case. Alright, so the trick here is I've got to do this to get up high enough to do this to pick up something. Pick up this fish and get the dog to go in the circle. So super fast here. You gotta go here, pick up this, put this here, and then pick up this. And now that buys me all the time I need to now play this the way it should be played, because he'll just fall over and reset. Now here's a question: why did the dog fall off over here? He was definitely not falling off the edges before. So the game is just inconsistent in its gameplay mechanics. So yeah, just more to complain about. And to be fair, if you were just playing this game once, if you got it real cheap or free on a cell phone game, you probably wouldn't consider it too much. You'd just solve the puzzles, you'd be happy enough to solve the puzzles, you'd be done. But man, on second viewing, every little flaw is blatantly obvious. Let's see. And introducing the idea of a broken piece here doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just unnecessary artwork. Also, introducing the idea of a dog doesn't make a lot of sense. I would like the ability to maybe, if we were going to have a fight mechanic or a barking mechanic, let's just say it was a barking mechanic and you couldn't actually fight. I'd like it so if you barked at the dog would just bark back at you and it would wake up Bob anywhere on the field. And then you would learn, oh, I can't get into a barking match and wake up Bob. Although then it becomes questionable why your barking didn't always wake up Bob. Here's kind of a good example of what a boss fight might have been, where Bob is just going in circles, and I would have to be somewhere in a much bigger arena fighting some either giant clock or giant dog or giant whale trains. It's also kind of surprising that there isn't a super cool puzzle where you don't have to do anything, or you do just one action and the lips blow him through a like hedge maze like puzzle. So we've got him locked now, but that doesn't help. We need to convert him so that he's hitting in the right direction. Interesting, he's supposed to have turned and he didn't. Let's try that again. He totally should have turned there. This game is buggy. Super simplistic and still buggy. Okay, so this is the last turn. This feels like this is a puzzle that should have been introduced a lot earlier before the dog was introduced. And then this really is going to just come down to placing the apple in the right place and hoping that that works. Yeah. Again, there could have been more here. There could have been some red herrings. In fact, in this game there could have been actual red herrings, and throughout the entire game you could have thought that they were useful and they never were. That would be a funny in-joke. So, as this goes, I think he's going to just always go where they want to go. And so I think at this point it also becomes confusing why they turn on the invisible stairs, or they walk through the invisible stairs. Let's see. So now they're about to walk this way. I'd actually like to see what happens when the wind blows them, because I don't know what happens then. Oh, they get blown too. Interesting. Mostly just goofing around looking at the gameplay mechanics now more than I am actually caring about solving the game. Alright. So I don't also like the fact that you can just walk here and there's clipping. Let's see. That. I've got to figure out how to get another apple. Which you would have thought, the way that looked, it looked like I was going to actually make it into the bedroom area. And it doesn't. Instead it just moves you around. And as a gameplay mechanic, that's cool and all, but it's not used enough. Let's see. Put this down. Pick this up. Put this down. I think at this point that gets rid of them all. They're just going to walk over there, and that's all I had to deal with. Now we just need to find a way to get him to walk this way. And that's it. 2 fishes and 2 apples. not quite 2 fishes and 2 loaves, if you're going for a biblical reference. Although the apple is often misattributed as the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, and often depicted as an apple in Renaissance paintings. There's hardly any Renaissance paintings getting referenced here in this game, though. Like, I feel like if you're gonna do an art style based on recognizable, famous art, you probably should. Well, one, you probably have to pay a copyright and a license, even though it should be not copyrightable material for photos of art. But you probably should go really far with that too. So if I was to trap the dog, which I don't think you could do, like, so he's trapped now. Does that really help me? I suppose it buys me time, because we kind of seen where this needs to go. You can't jump down again. So, need this dog to... I want this dog to go in a different direction. I want him to go, I guess, over here. And then that can get rid of him. Hopefully. So as he steps off, I can just pick up the fish and he is then trapped. And at that level, we've solved the puzzle at least to a level of safety. So Bob may not make it to where he's supposed to go, but he will make it to places where he would just fall off the edge and we could start over again. I believe that is pretty much that. We just need to come back over here and place a fish on the finger. This game does feel like it is developed by some weird Swedish developer mentality. Not to generalize Swedish people, but yeah. Man, that octopus really needed to show up as a boss. And see, they say the phrase sleepwalkers, so it doesn't even make a lot of sense that they claim Bob has narcolepsy. And you know, this would be a lot better if you weren't in a dream world. You can see a photo of you. And you can zoom in with the left stick, but I don't think there's actually a way to move the camera with the left stick. Go into freeform mode. It's a very fixed Unity style character. I'm assuming this is made in Unity. I could be wrong. It could be any number of other engines that all look about the same. Alright, so I can't right now place the apple down. I do not know why that is the case. But I think what I have to do is get this in a position so that I can stand on it, so that I can then pick up the fish. That's what I vaguely recall having to do. Let's see. Nope. I guess what I'm supposed to do is maybe do this, jump down here, and then, like, what does that do for me? Let's try this again. There's nothing here. It's... maybe I have to take it really fast. Maybe it's just a run and jump. It is. That's insane. It's never been running or jumping or moving faster. Alright, and next we have this puzzle. But that doesn't connect to that. So this platform looks higher than anything else. But there's no way you can MC Escher your way into the platform not looking that way. So, geez, what am I supposed to do? I know I've solved this puzzle before. I know it's not a solution as simple as just get in there outside of the doorway, which that would have been cool, certainly, as like a final puzzle. If you can't, for instance, make a puzzle that's more around the idea of like a boss fight or something. Let's see. Ah, here it is. So it is this weird MC Escher triangle that this game really hasn't been playing around with that. There are some cell phone games that play around with that idea some more, and that they're kind of cool. Let's see. Let's put this where I think it belongs, and then hope we can run around and pick up this in time. Put this where I think it belongs. And then let's speed up a little bit. Yes. You only get the first like 10 steps in the game anyways. So this guy would get pushed here, and when he gets here he's going to walk forward and turn this way. So when he walks forward and turns this way, he's going to be walking into the wind. Okay. And it's just going to keep on pushing him. Although the fact that he can even move one step is kind of interesting. So I now should be able to just put this down, and that should get him to the solution. Yep. The eye is closed. And that may be the last level. Nope, this is the last level. You get 2 again, we're pulling tricks where we're getting up higher. We're pulling tricks to get to different places. I think we need to get them to come all the way around over here and then a tight loop. Then over here. This is sort of the combination. You can see over there there's 2 apples next to this slightly fancier bed section. But that's kinda it. Right. So I'm fairly certain we have to get him. Man, I slid. Wow, why do you have a sliding mechanic? Right. So you put him here. That's where he starts. And Let's see, if he lands here, does he change his direction and walk the other way, or does he just, yeah, he does. He starts by walking this way. So you take that and he walks this way, and that's helpful. Unfortunately, I needed this apple, I think. Yeah, I need the apple. And you can't turn around in these things, you have to walk out and walk back in. So after he hits this, you get one try to come over and put this down. And this should get him aligned. Then I think, no, didn't move fast enough. I moved too fast, actually. Which just means we have to fast forward. And I don't particularly like the seagull sounds. They're playing a little too often. And they don't really play any role. All of these nautical sea themes that would have been great if you were heading towards like some kind of final boss fight of a giant squid would have been great. And then, you know, if I could throw in my own armchair writing, fight a giant squid with a bunch of tentacles or a giant octopus, and then show a scene where he's fallen out of bed and he's all tangled up in bed sheets, and that was his dream the whole time, and this was all just a nightmare. And maybe on nightmare mode you do get some different cutscenes, but I don't think so. Instead, all of these feel like they're anxiety dreams, which you've combined like nightmares and anxiety dreams with narcolepsy and sleepwalking. It's just like a ridiculous thought. And of course he doesn't actually have a magical dog. It would be more interesting if this game had been and I can control this guy and walk all the way to the door, but I can't do anything more. So he's just going to, like, I can't pick up anything. And you can see there's just like this was a Kickstarter game. If I Kickstarted this, I'd be super upset. Everything is playing backwards in the audio. A lot of Kickstarter funds for 30 levels with 2 levels of difficulty. So this isn't a student project. We haven't gotten to the point where student projects start kickstarting everything. But yeah, it would have been a lot more interesting to be in the real world on just city streets with some random asset flipped city streets with asset flipped cars going back and forth. And then you kind of have like a Frogger idea of a game expanded upon. Instead of the surreal imagery, which doesn't mean anything at all. I mean, we could look through the credits a second time, but they just scrolled by super fast. Like, 1 game director, 1 game designer, 2 level designers, 1 lead programmer, and far too many other programmers. 1 art director, far too many animators. There's a lot of people that worked on this game, and there's not a lot of game here to explain this. This really feels like a game that could have been made by 1 person, 2 people. Let's see, you can't go to the left. And like the only thing after having done those 30 levels now would be to go play the nightmare mode, and this is when I was originally recording this series where I rage quit, and this is where I'm gonna rage quit again. Like, it just doesn't seem worth it to go through these levels. I mean, let's see, can we even jump into 15 Nightmare? And just show, theoretically this would be the most difficult level available. Possible here. How much different is it? It's different because there's a key here. So you would have to get him to walk off an edge somehow. I don't even know how you do it, honestly. You have to get him to walk off an ledge and land on this key and probably walk off the ledge over there, bounce back and get this key, turn to the right. And that's pretty much all it is. It's just get the key. So they didn't even go crazy with having you collect 3 or 4 keys in gameplay. Alright. So I have to put this down somewhere. Best I could figure, you'd have to do something like this, something like this, something like this, something like this, something like that. See, and that's just a catch-22, so that's never gonna work. You can have him walk on an apple. We can have him walk back that direction. We can try and turn him around, but I don't think that would work. Yeah, it's just not worth the effort. It is just not worth the effort to try to do the nightmare levels. We're already 12 minutes late. That's it for this series. Thank goodness that I don't lose footage very often, because I would be rather salty a lot more, and frankly, yeah, I'm super not happy with having to play this game again. I wanted to be done with it and frankly never play it again the first time I played it. Playing it a second time has proven to be a slightly interesting challenge as a content creator and a video game critic, because now, having played it a second time, I can see, wow, there's a lot of programming errors, there's just bad ideas. I can, as an armchair video game critic, like as an armchair game developer, I could see much better gameplay mechanics that could have been in this game, much better ideas that could have been written in the story, at least in my own personal opinion. Of course, my own ideas I'll be in love with. Generally speaking, if they hadn't changed anything else, there should have just been a lot more puzzles. It's just really short. It feels like one of these Kickstarter games that came out to satisfy the Kickstarter requirements and nothing else, so that they didn't get threatened with lawsuits. Kickstarter is a terrible service. I do not recommend people kickstart, Indiegogo, pre-order, or buy episodic games, because it's all the same. You gotta have a finished product before you can sell it. It's the same for anything else. If you're a baker, you have to have a finished cake. You don't sell the flour and the eggs and the milk separately. A grocery store might do that, but a baker doesn't. If you're a video game developer, you've got to get the investment from accredited investors, people who have money to lose and burn, not just a bunch of kids with their parents' credit cards for the most part. That's going to be it for this series. I still would totally be willing to play Figment, their next game. It looks like more of a game. Although, to be fair, I would double check the reviews on Steam and be a lot more critical. And that's where it gets into the series that should air after this, the end of the year 2018 Steam wishlist cleanup, in which I clean up every day. We'll be covering a letter of the alphabet on the Steam wish list, and it will be a long experience every day of going through every single game on my wish list, seeing if they actually deserve to be covered or played, or if they need to be removed, or if they're still in early access and so need to be moved to a secondary fall list. If you have a lot of time this December, or at any point, I would say check that out, because that's going to be talking at least about a lot of games. That's it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, all of those links are down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.